Yo, what's up guys? C-Jax back with another video, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of a discussion about, is the Bloodline rushed? Is it bad? Does it suck right now? And does it make no sense? Now, obviously, there are elements of the recent Bloodline story over the last couple months that have been rushed. We all know there's been outside factors. Roman Reigns' father passed away, and so did his uncle. The Wild Samoans, Afa and Sika, passed away. So behind the scenes, it delayed Jimmy Uso's return. Jimmy Uso, I think, also got hurt IRL, for real, a few months ago. So that's also delayed things. And, Roman having to go in and out of being there and not being there because of funerals and stuff obviously delayed some stuff inside of the story. However, with the time they've been given, what they've been able to construct over the last couple months, in my personal opinion, has actually been pretty good for the most part, okay? There's a couple elements Jay coming back and working with Roman, Sammy as well, that I feel like needed more time to be fleshed out. However, what we're getting right now, this works, as far as I'm concerned. Bronson Reed joining the Bloodline is perfect. Not only is he part Samoan, I'm 99% sure Bronson Reed has some Samoan in his bloodline, so that actually works. And also, he's a savage. He's a menace. He's an absolute killer. So this dude joining a bloodline full of absolute savages like Tama Tonga and, I love you, Solo, Jacob Fatu, Solo Sikoa, who, by the way, Solo Sikoa right now is probably one of the best heels in WWE. He is absolutely incredible right now. Solo Sikoa had a promo he just did on YouTube segment, like a little SmackDown Lowdown, whatever their talk show is after the show, and I just watched it yesterday night. This dude is a baller. He is. He looks like a leader. He's getting better on the mic. The only thing he needs to do, in my personal opinion, is develop in the ring a little bit more. But the more time he gets on the main roster, the better he's going to get, man. He is elevating himself into an upper mid-card level as a heel, and he's doing a good job. And when you factor that in with Bronson Reed improving the real, fear factor and, menacing nature of this bloodline with Fatu, who's absolutely out of his mind. Tama Tonga, you know what I'm saying? He's insane. Tonga Loa botching every move. He's also hilarious. And now you have Bronson Reed, who's an absolute savage, who's hitting 8 tsunamis on people. This is going to work, okay? All he does is help to build the theme of this new bloodline being reckless, abandoned, and absolutely insane in the head. And that actually works by adding Bronson Reed in this. And hear me out. If The Rock becomes revealed as the new tribal chief and that Solo was just an act, a lackey pretty much until The Rock came back, you can have Bronson Reed serve as his enforcer and move Jacob Fatu to being The Rock's right-hand man in this new bloodline, and have Solo just, I don't even know, maybe he turns face or leaves the new bloodline. You get what I'm saying? This story has layers, it has levels to it, and it can be very, very interesting and engaging. However, we also have to talk about the potential 5th member for Roman Reigns, the OG bloodline, Seth freaking Rollins. Now, obviously, this sounds great on paper, and quite frankly, this is going to be amazing fan service when eventually this does happen. It looks like Seth will be the 5th member. We'll see what happens on tomorrow's Raw, which was taped, but I'm predicting that Seth will be the 5th member of this new or the OG bloodline, I should say. If Seth is the OG member of the new bloodline, you have this kind of Bloodline and Shield reunion remix kind of situation. You have a Blood Shield kind of situation, right? I saw someone comment that on one of my community posts. I like that, the Blood Shield, You have the OG bloodline with Sammy, Jay, Jimmy, and Roman, and then you also have Roman and Seth Rollins, the 2 anchors of the Shield back in the day, along with Big Dog Dean Ambrose, you know what I'm saying? So it's going to be awesome to see them reconnect. Obviously, the fan service in ring, potentially them throwing up the ones, or doing the fist bump, or doing a triple power bomb through a table inside of the cage at War Games. It's going to be absolutely magnetic when these two get back together, or if they have a segment to kind of reunionize themselves together or team up once again and come to their senses. It's going to be awesome. However, there's one big problem with all of this. There is a glaring plot hole, because why would Seth Rollins legitimately team up with this team? I understand over the last month or two he's had beef with Bronson Reed ever since Bronson, hit those 7 tsunamis on him 2 months ago or 3 months ago, whenever that was. But at the same time, why is he teaming with Roman in this OG bloodline? He's not really a big fan of Jimmy Uso, and as far as I'm concerned, him and Sammy did team on the War Games together last year, so there you go, you have that. So Sammy may be the bridge to bring him into this team, but Roman, Jay, and Jimmy, what good past does he have with them? He was literally feuding with them in early 2022, and on top of that, Seth Rollins literally blew his knee out trying to stop Roman Reigns from retaining his championship at Mania 40 and stopping him and The Rock alongside, Cody Rhodes, who eventually won the WWE Championship at Mania 40. Seth Rollins doing all of these things in adverse to Roman Reigns, all of that blowing your knee out, sacrificing your night one main event spot, being fresh to fight Drew McIntyre and defend your belt. You sacrifice that to team with Cody to stop the Bloodline rules match from happening. Then it happens and you're still out the next night, sacrificing your body to, ultimately end up losing your title, unfortunately, to McIntyre. And then after that, you sacrifice your body again, going out later and getting hit by a chair to stop Roman from winning the title. Seth literally did what he said. He was Cody Rhodes' shield that helped save him from Roman Reigns. And he ended up, being the reason partly that Roman Reigns lost the match. That ties back to the, when Rollins hit Roman with a chair, now Roman hits him with a chair because he hasn't gotten over the shield loss. All of these are great story elements, but when you have a plot hole of a guy who gave his whole entire body on the line and his whole dang near career for Mania 40, his whole build up to Mania 40 was to stop one guy, and then he teams with that same exact guy later this year, it's kind of a plot hole, man. It's going to be awesome. Don't get me wrong. The fan service will be absolutely epic, but how are we going to get there when we have 2 weeks to build up left to Survivor Series? You get what I'm saying? There is a clear problem with that picture. They are going to either have to do one of these three things. This is the real reason I'm making this video. Because people say it's rushed and that it sucks. Which, yes, there is a couple plot holes and a couple things that were rushed. But in totality, they're going to probably be able to build something special because of who you have involved. You have Solo, who's becoming a good heel. Bronson Reed's doing great work. Bronson Reed is one of the few people in WWE who's actually had a genuinely great TV feud this year. He had a great feud with Braun Strowman that ended in the last Monster Standing match where Rollins cost him the match. Like, that was awesome feud. Bronson Reed's been cooking the last few months. But at the same time, with Rollins teaming with Roman again, where does this leave the future of them, and why does this make any sense? Because quite frankly, right now, it doesn't. So here are the three potential outcomes of how Rollins will end up joining the Bloodline again. Now, we know Rollins versus Bronson Reed is taking place tomorrow night on Raw. Either the Bloodline gets involved, Bronson Reed gets helped, and they end up beating the crap out of Seth Rollins, and maybe the Bloodline, the OG Bloodline, comes out and tries to help out Seth, and that's how Seth has kind of forced to side with them. Option number 2, Seth Rollins doesn't come to his senses after the Bloodline potentially helps him, the OG Bloodline I'm talking about, and then maybe after this he's still upset and pissed off that he's now tied into the Bloodline's drama again, and he asks to talk with Roman Reigns on SmackDown this upcoming week. And when he talks to Roman Reigns, he and Roman have like a very, very great, intense, emotional, epic feud, or not feud, epic moment or slash promo segment inside of the ring. If this is 5 to 10 minutes, you can really dive into the past, the present, and the future of these two as a relationship and as it relates to the reunion of the Shield and the reunion of the OG Bloodline going forward. Roman and Rollins are obviously my two favorite wrestlers right now, so maybe I'm kind of biased, but you cannot tell me that these two in the ring would not be electric if they cut a good promo, right? It would be absolutely incredible. There's so much source material to derive from. So that's another way that Seth could be lured back into, teaming with Roman Reigns and helping him out one last time. Or option number 3, Seth Rollins straight up just joins the Bloodline just for this specific Survivor Series alone, and he doesn't want to form an alliance with Roman or the Bloodline, but he has to do it to get back at Bronson Reed. If it's one of those 3 options, I could see how Seth Rollins comes back and ends up helping out Roman Reigns in this OG Bloodline. However, going forward, I don't know where you go from here with the entire Bloodline situation. I know that The Rock is going to be back, obviously, within the next couple months, and that's going to really ramp things up. It's going to be sick. But I think the ultimate culmination of this is this. Hear me out on this crazy theory, and I'm probably going to end the video with this. The Rock at Bad Blood, when he came back, he looked at Roman and Cody in the ring and put up the 1, 2, 3, and then kind of did like the Undertaker, like thumb to the throat kind of signature, thing that Undertaker does. The Rock kind of did that with his fingers, right? That basically means it kind of, well, at least to me, it seems like 3 strikes, you're out, or all 3 of you, you're done. I think the first strike was Roman Reigns losing the title to Cody at Mania. The Rock pinned him night 1, and the fact that Roman couldn't finish off the job and pin him night 2 is probably the first step in a shift of power inside of the Bloodline, right? Which could lead to how The Rock is the tribal chief behind the scenes, ultimately meaning that he is the one now, he has a phone. Paul Heyman has a phone to call The Rock, and the phone wasn't working for Roman, so you never know what's happening with that. Then you also have the second strike, which is teaming with Cody Rhodes at Bad Blood. Then the third strike would be teaming with Seth Rollins and Jey Uso, obviously, who Jey Uso kind of turned up the OG Bloodline as well at a point. It was kind of at odds with The Rock and Roman as well. But that third strike will be teaming with Seth Rollins at Survivor Series War Games. And if The Rock shows up at the end of Survivor Series War Games, similar to what he did in Bad Blood, he would reveal himself to be the real tribal chief of this new Bloodline all along, the real leader of all of this. And maybe he reveals why he's so pissed at Roman, because he teamed with Cody, he teamed with Seth, the 2 people that Roman and Rock tried to put down and put out for good. He then decided to team with those two people, and he lost the championship, which, removed this prestige from their bloodline. So either way, it's going to set up some type of feud with The Rock and Roman down the line. And, if you do it the way I just said, I think it would be absolutely masterful, right? At the end of the day, it's all about the booking and the execution of the storyline. If it's not executed correctly, then none of this is going to matter and none of this is going to work. But I do have trust, believe it or not, in the bald egghead Triple H, who normally is an awful booker. But when it comes to the Bloodline specifically, it's more of a storyline that's being written and developed by Paul Heyman, Roman Reigns, and then Triple H is like third in command in terms of how this story flows. So it's one of those kind of situations, man. I hope that everything plays out well. I am going to be excited, obviously, to see Seth and Roman and the OG Bloodline reunite and go 5v5 in that War Games match. That will be fire. You're going to have tables. You're going to have steel cages. You're going to have tsunamis, moonsaults, stomps, spears, punches, super kicks, haluva kicks, kick kicks. It's going to be absolutely insane to see what happens leading up to Survivor Series in 2 weeks. I'm excited. We'll see how the story develops. But all I know is that if they develop it correctly and do their jobs correctly, this realistically should be a great PLE and a great main event, at least a great main event. And it should set up some really big things going forward. Last year's Survivor Series is when things started to get really hot for WWE, with Punk returning and the actual War Games main event with Orton coming back and that match itself just being awesome and very entertaining to watch. It was a very good team-up match. And then it led into, the big run to Mania 40, which was iconic and legendary. So let's just hope that this year can do the same thing, and we'll see what happens with the Bloodline, which is the only story in WWE that matters going forward. Let me know what you think about this, all these theories and these ideas of what the Bloodline is now and what it could be in a couple months. And as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Have a phenomenal day. Peace out. One love.